Welcome to Splendid Tales, where karma doesn't knock, it flies first class. Buckle up, because this story might just make your jaw drop harder than turbulence at midnight. The passengers aboard Flight 782 from New York to London were still sipping champagne when she arrived. Dr. Tiana Reed, an elegant black woman in a cream pantsuit that screamed quiet power. She moved with the grace of someone who didn't need to prove herself. But that didn't stop Claire Benson, the head flight attendant, from narrowing her eyes the second Tiana sat down in seat 1A. Claire strutted over, her smile the kind you could use to cut glass. "Excuse me, ma'am," she said, dripping politeness and poison in equal measure. "This section is reserved for first-class passengers." Tiana glanced up slowly, her expression calm as a still lake. "Then it looks like I'm exactly where I should be." Claire's eyebrows twitched. "Let's not make this uncomfortable," she said, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "You must have taken the wrong seat." Phones began to rise, recording. Uh, the businessman in 1B sank lower in his seat. Tiana chuckled softly. "You're right about one thing, Miss Benson. This is uncomfortable, mostly for you." Claire blinked, confused. She had no idea she'd just stepped on a landmine made of her own arrogance. If you're enjoying this unfolding chaos, make sure to like and subscribe because the real turbulence is only just beginning. The engines hummed softly, but inside first class, the tension buzzed louder than the turbines. Claire Benson's heels clicked sharply on the polished floor as she leaned closer, her perfume thick enough to choke an ego. "Listen, sweetheart," she whispered, voice dipped in condescension. "These seats cost more than a car payment. I'm sure this was a misunderstanding." Dr. Tiana Reed tilted her head, lips curving into a patient, razor-edged smile. "You're absolutely right, Miss Benson. There is a misunderstanding, just not on my part." Passengers exchanged uneasy glances. A few whispered. One muttered, "Why is she assuming she can't afford it?" Another pulled out his phone. Claire noticed, her tone snapping sharper. "I don't appreciate being filmed. Airline policy says staff should treat all passengers with respect," Tiana interrupted smoothly. "You might want to reread that manual." Claire's face reddened. "I could have security meet you at the gate," she hissed, trying to reclaim her power. Tiana arched a brow. "Please do. I'd love to speak with management. Maybe they'll recognize me." That line landed like thunder. A businessman across the aisle coughed into his drink to hide a laugh. Claire's straightened chest puffed up like a peacock that mistook itself for a hawk. "You people always have something to say," she muttered under her breath. Tiana heard it, loud and clear. Her eyes turned colder than the clouds outside. "Careful," she said quietly. "Your altitude's showing." If you're enjoying this chaos, don't forget to like and subscribe. The real drop is coming next. The captain's voice broke through the tension, calm and professional. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're cruising at 30,000 feet." Claire pretended to listen, standing stiff beside Dr. Reed, but her mind was racing. She had no idea that every second of her arrogance was being quietly recorded by 3 different passengers, and that one of those passengers was a journalist with a very large following. Tiana leaned back, crossing one leg over the other, completely composed. "You look nervous, Miss Benson," she said softly. "Is it the altitude or accountability?" Claire snapped. "You think you can talk to me like that? You're lucky I haven't—" Before she could finish, the cockpit door slid open. The captain stepped out, adjusting his cap. His expression froze when he saw Tiana. "Dr. Reed?" he said, startled. "I didn't realize you were on this flight." The room stilled. Claire blinked, her jaw slack. You know her?" she stammered. The captain chuckled awkwardly, his tone dripping with respect. "Know her? She's our regional director. She practically runs this airline." The sound that followed wasn't turbulence, it was collective disbelief. Phones went up again. Claire's throat went dry. Dr. Reed?" she whispered, face pale as printer paper. Tiana smiled sweetly. "You were right about one thing, Miss Benson. I don't belong here." She stood slowly, elegant and terrifyingly calm. "I belong higher." If this moment just made your spine tingle, like and subscribe because karma hasn't even finished boarding yet. When Flight 782 landed, the air was thick with tension and whispers. Claire Benson tried to avoid eye contact, but cameras caught everything. Her trembling hands, her forced smile, the humiliation clinging to her like cheap perfume. Passengers whispered as Dr. Tiana Reed stood gracefully by the exit, greeting them with quiet warmth. Every thank you she received was another nail in the coffin of Claire's arrogance. By the next morning, the footage had gone viral. Headlines screamed, "Flight attendant confronts airline director, gets grounded instead." The internet had no mercy. Memes, clips, slow motion replays. Claire Benson became the global face of poetic justice. A week later, inside the airline's headquarters, Claire sat across from Dr. Reed in a glass walled boardroom. Her voice quivered. "Dr. Reed, I didn't know." Tiana leaned forward, eyes calm but unyielding. "That's the problem, Miss Benson. You didn't need to know who I was to treat me with respect." Silence crushed the room. "Consider this your last flight," she added, sliding a termination notice across the table. "Altitude revealed your attitude." Claire's lip trembled. "Please, I." Tiana stood, smoothing her blazer. "Save it. You told me not to cause a scene, remember?" She turned toward the window, the skyline glowing behind her. "Funny thing about flying high," she said softly, "you see people's true heights when the mask of power falls." This has been Splendid Tales, where karma always gets an upgrade. If you loved this story, hit that like, comment, and subscribe because the skies remember everything.